Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So today you find me in my great room, and yes, I'm sitting down and I'm going to explain why I've had to take a little break from YouTube and what's going on with me. So I'm sure you can hear I got a little bit of a cold. So I had shared on an earlier video that I had some problems with my back. Well, I did finally go to the doctor. Y'all don't fall over. And 3.5 years ago, when I had my last back surgery, I had a major complication post-op just from all of the cadaver bone and metal that was implanted. I ended up with a sizable fracture of my pelvis. And at about the 1 year mark, I would say it was like 2/3 to 3/4 of the way healed. And at that point in time, I was dismissed from the pelvis surgeon specialist care. You know, come back if you have a problem. Well, as it turns out, that fracture has reopened. I did nothing to cause it. You know, just back surgeries can be fraught with long-term complications. So if you notice me limping or kind of scuffing my feet, that's what that's all about. And then because I had to go to the hospital to get the x-rays. I wasn't in the hospital, and I was in the doctor's office. I got a cold. So if it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. But you know what? God is good, and I'm sure I will recover just fine. So today I thought I would share with you some of my vintage treasures. I am not going to do my regular whole house Christmas tour because, you know, that's like so 2021. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. So many years ago, like 20 years ago, I started to collect very slowly some Holt Howard items, and I wanted to share with you just a little bit about who Holt Howard Company was and why I like their things. So stay tuned. So growing up, being born in 1961, I enjoyed a lot of the Christmas kitsch craze and some of the mid-century modern. And my grandparents had more 50s type stuff, even though I didn't come along till 10 years later. So for me, that just brings up so many great nostalgic type feelings. I'm going to try not to bang on my microphone. So I started collecting first Santa Claus mugs, and I noticed on the bottom there was a gold foil sticker that said HH, and depending on the item, it might be stamped in black ink, but it usually had a copyright date, and it was 50s and 60s. So Holt Howard was founded in 1949 in Manhattan, New York, by Grant Holt and his friends John and Robert Howard. Grant did his postgraduate work in Sweden, and that's where he fell in love with Christmas kitsch, Christmas ceramics, and it gave him an idea for a company. So when he came back to the US, he began manufacturing these Christmas type items first, and the company expanded, and I'll tell you a little bit about what they grew into. At first, everything was US made, but then in order to compete from a price standpoint, it went overseas, so a lot of the things were made in Japan. The main showroom was in New York, but in 1955, they expanded to Connecticut and then across the US to Los Angeles. In 1968, it was bought by a company called General Housewares Corporation, and by this time, Holt Howard had expanded from just Christmas kitsch to all sorts of kitchenware. If you know anything about Holt Howard, he has a rooster line, a cozy kitten line, canisters, pixie ware, which I have quite a bit of as well. Holt and the Howards left in 1974, and of course now they're no longer in operation. They sold the remaining designs to a company called KD Designs, Kaydee, in 1990. And what happened was Holt Howard kind of started that whole kitchen ceramics craze. So there were a lot of copies. And if you're an eBay shopper, you will see a lot of times it's referred to as Holt Howard era when it's not made by Holt Howard. So there was Napco, DeVar, Lefton, Lippert, and Mann. And as I said, they made pixie wear, cats, cozy kittens, roosters, and all sorts of Christmas items. So behind me here, if you've watched some of my vintage shopping, this is a new buy for me this year. It is actually I would call it a planter slash music box. And y'all I have notes. It's made by Relpo in 1962. Let's see if I can do this. And I don't want it to. I found this on the web. Oh, sorry guys, that's my Apple Watch. I'm like, wait, who said that? But how delightful is this? So I have it here on my desk where I like to sit and do my editing and such for my videos. All right, let me get up. Back here behind me, as I shared, this was my parents' Christmas tree in later years. They bought it in Michigan at Bronner's, which is a very famous Christmas store. I think it's one of the prettiest fiber optic trees. And yes, indeed, I have it on a stool. Because if y'all remember last year, Hanky Panky Frankie had to be all about the Christmas tree and knocked it over. So I didn't want that to happen again. All right, I'm going to twist you here. Over here on the mantle, I changed things up a little bit this year. So I still have some of my true vintage bottle brush trees, but you'll notice I have a set of mid-century modern houses, and they actually light up. It's just hard to get a good picture. So let me reposition the camera and I will share those with you. If you hear the humming noise in the background, that is just the fiber optic tree. The color wheel inside the base rotates. So these actually came from World Market, and I just absolutely loved them from the minute I saw them. So very 50s kitsch. And this one has a reindeer, you know, enjoying his little peppermint cocktail. Over here, this just says Happy Holidays. It's a house, but look at the detail, guys. Even the fence, the snowman. This is the Oasis Lounge, and look how pretty the door is. It's even glittery. And of course, a kitty in the background, kitty over here. This little deer is out of proportion, but this is truly like a Danish modern hand-carved deer. I always put him out. This cute little house has its pink poodle and its red car, but they're all decked out for the holidays. And then the final one, of course, the Scotty dogs, the lit up palm trees. I just think these are quite lovely, and I've enjoyed looking at them. We're now over at my step back cupboard, and I just wanted to share a few of my Santa collectibles with you. I am going to do my best to tell you who made it, what year it was made, and the approximate value that it's been selling for. Now, I'm not doing this because I want to brag about the value of my collection, just because I think it's interesting, especially when you get a bargain. So I've been collecting Santa mugs for over 20 years, and I started collecting at a time they weren't super popular. So a lot of these I paid next to nothing, or I picked them up at the Goodwill. You can't find those things at the Goodwill anymore. So the first thing I want to share with you is the most sought after, we'll say. Value is in the eye of the beholder. The most sought after Holt Howard design for Christmas, which is called the Starry-Eyed Santa. And you can see his little eyes look like the atom symbols, so very mid-century modern. These, I have three of them. They're often called treat trays. Some people call them tea bag trays. I do believe they made a smaller one than this, but these are the only ones I have. They have been selling for 100 to 125 each on eBay, and I probably paid $5 for them, honestly. Y'all, I've got water on me. I hope you'll excuse. Had to stop and have some breakfast. All right. Next starry-eyed Santa item is this, and I do have notes, guys. Chamber candle holder made in 1959, so a little bit older design, but just look at the detail, with the gold etching, with the gold around the edge. You know, Holt Howard's products were, in my opinion, superior to, say, a Napco or even sometimes Lufton. This one is 1959. I think I said that. And these have been selling for $250, not $2.50. It just blows my mind. So I will say my collection is complete of Old Howard, probably. Um, this is really cute. This is another early piece. Again, the starry-eyed Santa. It is a candle holder and a bell. Now the clapper is missing from the bell. I didn't realize that it was. It has some candle wax on it. Didn't realize the clapper was missing. This is 1959. These sell for $250 to $300. I'm sure without the clapper, it's going to affect the value, but I have them because they bring me joy, not because of the value. Another fun set that is relatively difficult to find. Again, it's candle holders. This is called Stagecoach Santa. He is completely intact. You know, a lot of times the little mittens or hands break off or the feet break off, but he's having a joyride for sure. You can find the Santa driving the car quite easily. You do not find the Stagecoach Santas very often. I was unable to really get an accurate price of something that it actually sold for. The car ones sell for $30 to $40, so it may not be super valuable, but I think it's super cute. All right. This picture and mug set is often called the Winking Santa, and you can see it has the original Holt Howard sticker. It's 1959. It does have quite a bit of crazing on it, but it's in relatively good shape. A lot of these cold painted red areas will flake off if you try to wash them, so mine get dusted, but not, or damp clothed, but not truly like washed, scrubbed with dish liquid. Um, the set, I have only 5 mugs, but the set usually sells for $200 to $300 depending on number of mugs and condition, but I think they're just super cute. Next up, you know what, guys, I'm gonna knock this little thing over, so yep, I'm already doing it. I'll tell you about this in just a minute so I can move it. These were my Grandma Victoria's bells, and they do both have their clappers. I have never been able to find any just like it. If you look, they're more of an old school. I'm going to say they're probably 1940s. Does have some paintwear. Oh, it does say Japan on the inside. Well, how do you do? It sure does. Things you learn when you're doing a video. So I definitely treasure those as she treasured those. So let me tell you a little bit about this item. I found this $5 in a box under a table at an antique store, and it's a Richard Glasser 1950s pyramid that's valued at 110 to 115. Now mine has some condition issues. The angels at the bottom are fine, but there's a little bit of play. So I don't know. I haven't lit it to see if it will actually turn. So if you've never seen one of these work, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the heat from the candles will cause this fan to spin. So it's just kind of a neat thing. And it came in the original box, and the writing was all in German. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right. Um, I have a lot of just different Santa mugs. This is an older mug, lots and lots of crazy. It has a duller finish, definitely not Holt Howard. And I hope y'all can help me with this. I have several pieces that on the bottom say RCD. I'm wondering if that's Royal Copley. It almost looks like a heart. I can't really get a good picture of it. So drop me a comment if you know. Peggy and Norm, you probably know. Um, this is definitely an older mug. I would say 50s. Last year, I purchased this spaghetti Santa, and he is actually a bank, not a planter. He on the bottom it says 1964 imported Japan. Took me forever in a magnifying glass to read that. Um, I kind of paid up for this because it's unique. Look at his mustachey. Yeah, but I really like it, and it added to my collection. And guys, I'm not going to show you every single item. I'm going to hit the highlights. Occasionally, I will find a mug that is a little bit different color. I like this one because it has the starry-eyed. I have a lot of the blue-eyed Santas up top here that I'll show you one or two of. I also wanted to show you the difference between, say, just a Japan mini mug and a Holt Howard. Now, this one's got some wear, a little bit of wear, not bad, on his nose, on his rim, but nice, clear detail, color on his cheeks as compared to this Japan one that was 33 cents at Payless. And I'm sure that's not the shoe store. So I like all of them. I like the fancy Holt Howard ones. I like the simpler ones. And I really like when you can find things like this. So this obviously is pre-1970, no barcode. And it says Christmas party favor. And this cracks me up. Sweets, nuts, cigarettes. He uses a tree ornament because we all want a Santa mug for our cigarettes. Smoking was so much more prevalent mid-century than it is now. But yeah, these sell for about $80. I got this at the Goodwill for probably $2.99, and I've never opened it. Okay, moving up. Speaking of smoking, I have to share this with y'all. Okay, so I have the Mr. Claus, which is this, and the Mrs. Claus, and I'm like, well, how cool! They were doing mug toppers like way back in the day. Okay, ready? Are you ready? Can y'all read what that says? It says ashes. It's an ashtray for your coffee cup. Oh, I just thought that was funny. So I do have the Santa and Mrs. Claus. These just say Japan on the bottom, but because ashtrays were kitschy and popular, I'm going to say it's probably still 50s. Could be 60s, but I'm thinking 50s. These little boots here are Napco. This was in my mom's stash. I definitely remember them from being little. Or not Napco, they're Lufton. They have the Lufton sticker, made in Korea. And I know that it was purchased at Elder Beerman because only the E remains on the bottom. But I know that Signature Elder Beerman was a local department store, and it was half price for my mom. Unfortunately, they got stored in the barn, so the candle wax is in them and caused, the wick to disappear forever. They also have, I think this must be heat damage or a glaze defect. I'm not sure, but both sides, both boots have that. But they're still super cute and a great memory from my childhood. Oh, gosh, sorry. Y'all, I'm going to tell you the truth. Somehow I put the camera on slow-mo and I'm having to redo this section, so I'm a little out of sequence. And if I repeat myself, y'all just excuse that. All right. Uh, the Napco Santa picture. I'm sorry, Santa boot. These are super cute. Look at this. And they still have the Napco sticker, which is just an N on it. Lots of detail with the gold. Um, you may wonder, like, why don't you use these? Well, because of washing them, number one. Number two, I'm not sure if the glaze is lead safe. And I don't want to die over drinking out of a Santa mug. So, yeah, not happening. I do have some older mugs that I know nothing about. Um, this is a very rosy cheeked Santa, but see how it has the two, almost like a stand on it. Um, for its age, does have some cold paint damage, but still really cute and really enjoyable. Let me, sorry guys, I know this is awkward. Stand up here a little bit and keep my hand out in front of the camera lens. This is Bright Red Lipstick Santa. I don't think this is as old. It may be a hobbyist piece, um, just because it's not real clean on the inside, etc. But he does have blue eyes and eyelashes at least, so kind of neat there. I have the entire set, and I'm not going to pull them all out, of Noel mugs, so the handles spell out Noel. These just say Japan on the bottom. They're Lipper and Man, which was another Christmas tchotchke maker. I guess tchotchke is word of the day, right? And let's see. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. So this is called Cloud Santa, and I have the pitcher, 5 handled mugs, and 3 non-handled mugs. So there were a couple styles this way, and he has a little damage on his nose, or this way. These were 19, wow. The years worn off. 1967, of course, Holt Howard again. And the set, as I have it, looks like it would sell for about 200, maybe a little bit more. Um, Again, guys, I didn't pay anything like that for any of these things. I've just slowly accumulated them through the years. Oh, and here's something that you'll commonly find in all of these type of Christmas collectibles. So this is a glaze defect. It's a glob of gold that kind of turned green that somehow fell on the mug, but I'm okay with that. Again, I have a lot of these with the little blue eye on them. I just think they're so special and so cute. I probably have a half a dozen maybe of those. Um, I always have to laugh when I pull this one out because he's shifty-eyed Santa. And he's also quite old. Not a lot of detail on him, but tons and tons of crazing. I don't know if you can see that. No marks whatsoever on it. All right. Up top here, all the way up, let me just grab one, is actually my highest quality set. This is Holt Howard. It is also called Winking Santa. It's from 1964. This one is mint. This obviously was never used, and it's stamped Japan as well. I enjoy looking at it, so I don't mind having something that I can't use per se. I'm okay with that. Um, and I really get a lot of joy every year when I pull all of these beautiful things out. And guys, this is not my whole collection. I tried to put out the best quality ones, um, but I probably have another 25 or 30, with more red chipping, etc., etc. All right, down here, I have a punch bowl only. I believe this is Napco. I have no idea what it's worth. Um, it does have a lot of detail in his eyes. See his eyelashes? They're like kind of sparkly, kind of pretty. Um, and again, I've never used it. I just dust it underneath that bowl. This is so cute. I found this at the Goodwill. I think I paid $2.99. It's from 1954, and it has that same marking. See that RCD, or that's what I'm taking it as. So I don't know what that is, but I bet one of you will, and I would love to hear from you. Back behind me, guys, I'm not going to try to lift it up. Oh, I can't point backwards. Right here, I have a vintage Atlantic mold volcano tree, or sometimes they're called lava trees, in a pearl finish with, of course, blue bulbs. Hello. These, in the mint condition that this is in, you have to pay up for them right now. I don't know what it will be like after the holiday season. They run $350 to $600 depending on the size. This one's quite large. I absolutely love it. I try not to run it too much because I don't want to burn out the base of it. It has a newer plug installed, so at least it's safe. It's not going to burn the house down for sure. I want to take a moment before I go on, and I want to share a thank you to all of you who have sent me Christmas cards, or I got a really sweet gift, and I'd like to share that with you. So hang tight. Let me grab it. I did ask the gift sender, could I use her first name? And she said yes. I did not ask on the cards, guys. I just want you to know I I would not want to embarrass anybody or say your name when you don't want it said. Look how cute this one is. I haven't gotten this many Christmas cards in years. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I again don't want to call somebody's name that doesn't want to have their name called, but I want you to know, given what I've been going through, these have been a very bright light for sure, and I've thoroughly enjoyed them. So this came from my sweet friend, who I like to say is Frankie's aunt, Miss Jane. She could, if we would have gone shopping together, she couldn't have picked more perfect gifts. So first of all, look at these gorgeous, in the tiny little crochet thread, which I don't have a lot of patience for, gorgeous hot pink coasters. I'll get it out. Thank you so much, Jane. I love them. Nobody better be setting a wet cup on them, though. They're for show. And then she found some of the most gorgeous brooches and jewelry that I will totally wear. Y'all know that. I did good to get cleaned up and get in a sweatshirt, and I'm sorry I'm pale. Look at this necklace, guys. Does that say Kym Clark or what? It definitely does. And she does not know this, but I have two pieces similar, but they're blue in the clear stone, from my Grandma Victoria that I do wear at the holidays. So I will put this in the holiday rotation. I love it, love it, love it. Look at this gorgeous brooch, blue being one of my favorite colors. I think this is super cool because it reminds me of like a music clef, but it's just so like mid-century. You could wear it that way, you could wear it this way. I don't know a lot about music. And then this is like I'm going to call it cloisonne. It is also a brooch, but just beautiful springtime colors. I don't have a lot of springy brooches, so thank you for that as well. A lovely vintage, I'm sure it's silk purse. I don't see any markings in it, but I want to show you all this. Look at the trim on the inside. Like somebody fancied up their purse. Now, honestly, I'm not even sure my cell phone will fit in it, but it will display beautifully. And if I'm going to a party or something where I just basically need chapstick and a cell phone, I'll make it work. This is also like a cloisonne type thimble, glass thimble. And
I can't read it. I'm sorry, guys. My eyes are bad. I need to get my eyes checked. Um, but it has a whole bunch of stuff about it. These, y'all, for my vintage sewing, look at these buttons. Ooh, that's a good picture. And there are 6 big silk covered buttons. So elegant, so perfect. Some lace trim. Look at this marling nylon ribbon. Isn't that beautiful? And of course, you need some buttons. I love these buttons. Look how, like, does that scream mid-century? And these are both made in England. And then the piece de resistance. Y'all know my pajama obsession. Might wear pajamas during some videos. This is actually going to work for me. It'll be my size. I love it. So I'll be making myself some jammies and try to incorporate some of the cute little buttons and such that you sent. So Jane, God love you, girl. You made my day. It couldn't have come at a time where I needed it more. And y'all have faith. But sometimes it's hard, as I'm sure y'all know, when you're like, really? Because I just had a cold and now I've got another one, and my mom's having a hard time at the facility, and now I broke my pelvis in two. So anyway, let's finish up this tour. We're now over here at the kitchen table. I just wanted to share a few pieces with you. One of the things that is new this year is my awesome snowball punch bowl set. I had a really hard time finding um, this exact set. It's very common to have the inside in green versus red, but it's very detailed, very pretty. And it comes with, I have 8 cups. So here is the lovely punch bowl. And then the ladle I purchased separately. This is Rydell of California. Looks like it sells online, and it is minty for around $200. I paid $50 again. To go with, of course, I have our Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, uh, never used, I'm sure, like 1950s-ish cups. And then these were my mother's hobnail milk glass candle holders. I ordered, and these are reproduction, these Santa candles, but this is the exact candle like we had on the table when I was a kid growing up. So, of course, it's all about recreating those magic memories. Guys, I'm sorry, my shoe fell off. Just to festive it up, a red and green ice lip pitcher, and it has the red, green, and white bubbles. I think that would go nice for summer as well. And of course, guys, in case you don't know, I am a huge fan of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation movie, the clean version. And I've shared many times, shout out to Peggy and Norm over at Crazy for Retro. Y'all go check out their Christmas decor. It is amazing. Like, I drool when I watch it. But Norm and I both kind of have this love of movies and Hallmark movies, and I did not have that movie, hadn't seen it in years. So thank you, Norm, for thinking of me. So of course I have the Moose um, punch cups, I guess there are. They're for show. I mean, you could actually drink out of them. And then kind of go along with, I found these napkins for a quarter. Sometimes I have trouble with that word. Um, it is the 12 Days of Christmas, and it's just so detailed and so cute. I found them at the local thrift store here in Cedarville. So don't be wiping a dirty mouth on that. That's for showing. No, guys, I actually do use my things. And then the final thing I did want to share with you. These I found, remember me telling you the story about digging under the table and looking in the box? I found these as well. I paid $5 for the 2 of them. It was dead heat of summer. They are still made. They sell for $30. It's just they're glass, but I just thought they looked super mid-century pretty. They're very detailed. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff on the table, not a lot of room for food, but we'll use the island for that. All right, I want to show you one more punch bowl, and then we'll get on to wrapping this up. Well, I did bring the island back. Even though my kitchen seemed bigger, I did miss having it here, and especially when I'm making soap, because I keep all my soaping supplies underneath here. So this cutie patootie I've had for years. I love the ladle. It is two-sided, as is the bowl. Um, I have never been able to find another complete set. I did get this off eBay many years ago, and it has 6 matching mugs. Truly one of my favorite. I just think it's crooked, but it's super happy. The tablecloth that I have on the island was a find cleaning out mom's linen closet. This is from my childhood. So, probably 50s, 60s. I do have an older sister, so I'm sure some of the things were acquired back then. It's got a couple little stains, but if you put enough stuff up, you can't really tell it. But things like this just bring back such great memories and bring me a lot of joy. I almost forgot to show you a couple more Holt Howard things that I have. These are the holiday spaghetti angels, and these are actually salt and pepper shakers. Now, I don't use them for salt and pepper. I just use them for looking. It's really hard to tell what age. The date is not on the bottom, but it still has the original sticker. One has the bells, one has the muff. I remember having a muff when I was a kid, showing my age. And then along with, I have this planter, and it actually came with 2 gold snowflake candle climber things as well. I just don't have those out. She was 1958, so these are a little bit earlier than a lot of the mug sets. Oh, I just dumped pepper all over the stove. Back here on the back of the stove, I have from my beloved daddy in the 1980s just a Santa sugar and creamer. Unfortunately, the creamer has suffered a little chip, but I won't get rid of them. And then I did buy these at the antique store. It says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. They are salt and peppers, but again, I don't use them. It's really hard to get them sanitary, so they're for looking, not for using. All right, let's wrap this video up.
I know today's video has been a little bit different. I hope you've enjoyed it. I had been wanting to share my collection with you for quite some time. I just hadn't gotten around to it. I really am going to try y'all through the holiday season to keep up the videos. A lot of it's just going to depend on my mom's needs and how I'm feeling at the moment. So I'm doing okay. I'm able to take care of the chicken girls and Frankie and all of those things. I just have to rest a lot when the pain starts to creep up. So I hope you will understand that, and I appreciate your thoughts and prayers. I hope to see you all a little later this week. So until I see you again, smash that like button. Be healthy, be well, be blessed. Take care.